The Dallas Mavericks have officially hit rock bottom. They're 2-7 on the season as I record this video, and that is dead last in the Western Conference. And they're one of the worst teams in the NBA. They're 30th in points per game, 29th in three-point percentage, 25th in field goal percentage, 28th in assists per game. And they are dead last in offensive efficiency. They have the worst offense in the NBA. They're on pace to have one of the worst offenses in NBA history. They don't have a point guard that can go out there and get other players involved every single possession. And I blame Nico Harrison. We could talk about the ownership. They deserve blame as well. But Nico Harrison came out and he traded Luka to the Lakers to bring in Anthony Davis, to bring in Max Christie, and a 2029 first round pick. That is all that you got for a player that took you to a Western Conference Finals a couple of years ago and took you to the NBA Finals. When you look at this roster for the Dallas Mavericks, it's one of the worst rosters in the NBA. These players were meant to play with Luka. He got the most out of Derek Lively, and the same with Daniel Gafford on the offensive end. When they ran pick and roll, those live passes to the rim, and Luka was able to put a lot of pressure on the rim himself. Nico can come out all he wanted. He can say, well, Luka was out of shape. He didn't play the best defense, but he was still your best player. And he is still one of the best players in the NBA currently. And part of the reason why he was out of shape last season, he was dealing with a calf injury. And yet he still played through it. We saw the Los Angeles Lakers get to the NBA playoffs last year. Where did the Dallas Mavericks go? And I know that they were dealing with injuries. Kyrie Irving, he tore his ACL. AD, he missed time last year. But that's part of it. You have this aging roster, and you were hoping that Cooper Flag could come in and he could save you on day one, but that hasn't been the case. Nico deserves majority of the blame and the same to ownership here for letting this trade happen in the first place. This trade should have never happened. And to put all this pressure on Cooper Flag, it's not fair for an 18-year-old player to come in and play a position that he's never played before in his career, dating back to high school, dating back to college. They did not start D'Angelo Russell in the opening week of the NBA at the point guard position. Instead, you had Cooper Flag at the point guard position. And he looked very uncomfortable, which was always going to be the case. They were trying to force him to come in, be that playmaker, put pressure on the rim, and get others involved. He doesn't have the playmaking skills just yet. And I still believe that Cooper Flag will be one of the best players in the NBA, but it's going to take some time. Since then, they have started D'Angelo Russell at the point guard position, and you know what you get with D'Lo. He should have been the starting point guard in the first place, but he is a streaky player on the offensive end. He will have some nights to where he scores 20 points on good shooting splits. The next night, he may only give you 10 points, and he may shoot 3 or 14 from the field, for example. And he hasn't shot the ball well this season. He hasn't put enough pressure on the rim. He's not the ideal point guard to have as a starter every single night. And Kyrie Irving, he's going to come in. He's going to give you some good games. He's one of the best scorers in the game. But at the same time, even with a healthy Kyrie, with a healthy Anthony Davis, this is still a weird roster that is not good enough to contend in the Western Conference. You have the Houston Rockets. They're a very good basketball team. You have the OKC Thunder. They just won a championship last season. They're still one of the best teams in the NBA. You have the Los Angeles Lakers with Luka, Austin Reeves. LeBron hasn't played just yet. DeAndre Ayton, they're playing out of their mind. The San Antonio Spurs, the Denver Nuggets, even the Los Angeles Clippers. This Mavericks team has no fight on the offensive end right now because they're not good enough. You lost to the Detroit Pistons 122-110. You lost to the Pelicans 101-99. And you lost to the Memphis Grizzlies 118-104. And all we've heard for the last week is how unhappy Ja Morant is with that organization. And even though he did not shoot well from the field, he still had enough good moments on the offensive end to go out there and to beat you because your offense couldn't keep up. And the reason why I say it's a weird roster here, you have this 18-year-old kid in Cooper Flag. He's playing with AD, who is 32 years old. And he's not your regular 32 years old because he's always dealing with injuries constantly, dating back to his time with the Pelicans. Even in those early years when he was in his early 20s, he dealt with injuries. He's just an injury-prone player. Not to say that AD's a terrible basketball player. He's very good, but it's just the injuries there. Klay Thompson is 35 years old, and he has been abysmal this season, shooting 31% from the field, 26% from three. And you have Kyrie. He's 33 years old, and he's coming off a torn ACL injury they suffered last year. Imagine if this roster did not have Cooper Flagg. We can go down the conspiracy theory route and say, well, the Mavericks, they were gifted the first overall pick from the lottery. But imagine if they didn't have that pick. The ideal team for Nico Harrison was to have Kyrie at the point guard position, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, and Derek Lively, and Daniel Gafford and Max Christie coming off the bench. That was the ideal team for him when he made that trade. And I can't even blame Jason Kidd for all of the things that's going on right now with certain rotations. He didn't even know about this trade. And Nico confirmed this. Listen to this interview here that came out right after the trade happened.
And feel like we got out in front of what could have been a tumultuous summer.
Nico, did you have any indication from him or his representation that he was going to opt out or not take the extension or anything like that?
No, not at all. Not at all. Nothing verbally that would lead me to believe that.
Why would the Supermax be a difficult decision on your end?
Oh no, it's not a matter of it being a difficult decision. Now it's a matter of, once you put that out there, they accept or they don't, and then at that point you kind of you're on the clock.
Did you have discussions with any other teams besides the Lakers about this deal?
No, and I'd like to give Rob Pelinka a lot of credit. Trades, you guys have been around here, trades don't happen at the smallest level without stuff getting out. And Rob and I were able to have, really intense conversations over the course of, 3 or 4 weeks that started out as a coffee that, was more, hey, would you ever, I don't know, would I? Let me think of, and then it built upon that. And, we kept it between us. We had to keep it tight. J. Kidd didn't know about it. But J. Kidd and I are aligned, and we talk about archetypes, and we talk about the culture that we want to create. So I know the type of players that he likes without actually talking to him. Hey, would you like, so I know that. And J. Kidd coached them when they won a championship. So I think when you're aligned with your coach like that, I know the type of players that he likes. And so I felt good about it making sense to where we're trying to go.
That degree and potential that he's shown so far, this feels like a move that you absolutely have to be right about. There can't be any doubt in your mind when you pull the trigger on it. I'm just curious, what convinced both of you that you will not be wrong?
Well, let's be clear. I'm the one making the decision, and Jay's supportive of it, so it's me. I don't do anything that's scary. I think everything that we do, we put a lot of work into it. We study it, and we restudy it, and we go back, and I understand the magnitude of it.
And that is just straight ignorance, in my opinion, from Nico. To come out and to trade the best player on your team and to not even consult with your head coach because he knows for a fact that Jason Kidd would have came out and he would have pushed back against that because he has built his system around Luka, his weaknesses and his strengths with his offensive game plans, with the plays that he was running. You always knew that Luka was going to have the basketball in his hands late in the game. And if it wasn't Luka, it was going to be Kyrie Irving. They played very well off of each other. And they got other players involved, like Derek Lively, and the same with Daniel Gafford with those live passes to the rim, because Luka could put so much pressure on the rim, and the same with Kyrie. It was a perfect backcourt to have. They gave the Western Conference a lot of problems when they went to the NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics. No one could stop them in the Western Conference. They went against the OKC Thunder. They gave Shea and crew a lot of problems constantly. And mainly that was because of Luka and Kyrie. And they set those bigs up in the best situation possible on the offensive end. And the same against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Luka goes out there, he hits that game winner over Rudy Gobert. Moments like that you just can't go out there and you just can't recreate right now with Cooper Flagg because he's too young. He's not ready for this spot. And that's unfair to Cooper Flagg. And I feel for Klay Thompson. When Klay Thompson left the Golden State Warriors, He comes over, he gets to play with Kyrie, he gets to play with Luka. He's the number 3 option in terms of scoring, in terms of being a shooter. He's wide open constantly because of the constant ball movement with Kyrie, with Luka. He's wide open for 3. He's taking those looks. And we all know that Klay was never going to be the same player when he tore his Achilles, when he tore his ACL. He had some good moments with the Golden State Warriors, but he did take a step back. With Luka not being here and with Kyrie being injured with this ACL injury, he's a shell of his former self. He now has to create his own shot. He's not always wide open. And when he is wide open, he's still missing a lot of threes. That's on Klay Thompson. But it was easier for him last year when he had Kyrie, when he had Luka. Now you're asking for him to go out there and create his own offense. That has never been the game plan with Klay. That's not his strong suit. Going back to the Golden State Warriors, he played well off of Stephen Curry. The same with Draymond Green. Those dribble handoffs. And the dribble handoffs are not the same. You're going to run your offense through PJ Washington. You'll be crazy to do so. He had 8 turnovers from the Washington Wizards. He's not a ball handler. And the same with Cooper Flagg. If you want to get D'Angelo Russell involved, sure. But he's not a playmaker that's in the same conversation with Luka and the same with Kyrie. And it would make sense right now to possibly trade Klay Thompson to a different team. But what team is willing to trade for a player that is 35 years old? And he's shooting so terribly from the field. They're shooting 31% from the field and 26% from 3. No one's trading for him right now. Unless you trade him back to the Golden State Warriors. And I get the sense that he doesn't want to be with the Golden State Warriors right now. But Nico deserves all the blame. It's not all doom and gloom for the Dallas Mavericks in terms of contending in the Western Conference this year and possibly winning a championship than it is the all doom and gloom. But to leave things on a positive note, like I mentioned, I think Cooper Flagg will be a tremendous player long term. It's going to take some time. He's shown some flashes this season. He is still my favorite right now to win Rookie of the Year. I know VJ is balling out right now with the Sixers. But you have Cooper Flagg. Max Christie is a very good basketball player. He's been playing more minutes than Klay Thompson. Over the last couple of games, it should stay that way. Max Christie is averaging 13 points a game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, but he's shooting 53% from the field. He's shooting 49% from 3, and he's an amazing defender on the perimeter. And we got to see that last season with the Dallas Mavericks and even in certain games with the Los Angeles Lakers. But he's a very good two-way player. That's a bright spot. PJ Washington is still a very good player in the front court, just not a playmaker. But those corner threes, they're falling. Very good defender, can find his way to the rim. Derek Lively Jr., I still think that he's a very good player. Derek Lively II, pardon me. I still think that he's a very good player, and the same with Daniel Gafford. They're just not going to be the same without having a floor general and Luka. But at the end of the day, I don't trust the Dallas Mavericks ownership. I don't trust Nico Harrison as a general manager. He deserves to be fired, and I wish that Mark Cuban still had full say-so of the organization. It wasn't perfect, but at least he cared about the fan base. At least he cared about the product on the court. You just don't have that right now with the Mavericks. And dark days are going to be ahead for a very long time. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Dallas Mavericks? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.